Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Riza Thania Savitri, and today I will show you my micro teaching activities, especially the wheels activities I teach a grade 8 at junior high school, and the integrated skills are reading and writing skill. But due to COVID-19, we decided to do this at home instead of the classroom. Because our government stated that we have to self-quarantine and social distancing. So without further ado, let's get started. So guys, this morning we will continue our lesson. So you guys can open your book on page 2017, and you directly find the short story or fable. The title is A Wolf in Sheep Clothing, and I have provide the printed one or the written one in this calendar, so we can read it together. So please, in this morning I want to invite the 3 students to read, to become a volunteer to read the first paragraph, the second, and the third. So I want each of the 3 students read one paragraph. After the first reading activities, after the first reading, how about it? How about your understanding about the text? If you cannot really understand, I will repeat, and you have to stay silent and listen to my explanation, because later I will ask you a few questions about this text. So keep silent and listen carefully to the text. A wolf in sheep clothing. There was a big wolf. He was waiting for a chance to steal a sheep, but the shepherd and his dog continuously chased him away. After a week, the wolf began to get very hungry and thought, I must find a way to get close to the sheep. It was by luck that he found a sheep's skin. He carefully pulled the skin over his body, so that none of his gray fur showed under the white sheepskin. Then he could walk in easily, and now he was in the middle of the herd. The big wolf knew that the most delicious sheep were the lambs, or the young sheep. He then imitated the voice of a ewe or a mother sheep. He could easily cheat a lamb who thought that he was its mother, and the lamb followed him to the woods. There he eventually ate the innocent lamb. For many days he could eat as many lambs as his stomach could take. The big wolf got bigger and bigger every day. Now he looked like the biggest sheep on earth. One day, the shepherd was planning to hold a party. He would invite many relatives and friends, so he decided to slaughter the biggest sheep from the herd. The shepherd approached the biggest sheep very slowly and carefully. Guess who it was? The wolf, of course, who was fully covered by the white sheepskin. But the wolf was so fat that he could not run and fight for his safety. Very easily the shepherd slaughtered him, chopped him, and then cooked him for the big party. The end. So after we read 2 times about this fable called A Wolf in Sheep Clothing, Do you guys have any unfamiliar words that you find in this text? So we can discuss it together with your friends, and you can find it in your pocket dictionary if you have, or you can use online dictionary and use my phone. So for example, the unfamiliar words that you find here is shepherd. So shepherd is mean a person who take care of sheep, who give sheep foods, and like in Indonesia we call it as gembala. And the next unfamiliar words we can find it here is chest. So chest here means catch up or hunt, or in Indonesia we call it mengejar. And then we got herd. Herd is a large group of animals or gang of animals. So in Indonesia we call it kawanan atau sekelompok binatang. So after we discover a few unfamiliar words, I want to know, is there anyone who knows the differences about short story and fable? Because maybe you still confused the differences. What is the differences, or are they same or not? So I will explain. So usually and all of the fables, the characters of the fables are animals or bird, and animals or bird who act like humans, and use tenses, the past tense, the tenses that used in the fable text. Text is past tense. Meanwhile, short story, it can be both based on true story or imaginary story by the author, and the characters are humans. So that is the difference. Same like this fable. So the main characters is a big wolf, and other characters a sheep, a mother sheep, lambs, and the shepherd itself. So after read this text, I want to ask you a few questions. What is the story about? So you can discuss this with your chairmates. So you work in pairs, and after you got the answer, you can raise your hand and tell me what is the story about. Okay, that's right. This story is about a wolf who want to steal a sheep and do everything to reach his goal. So the next questions: who are the characters of this fable? I have mentioned it before. Who are the characters? So the characters are a big wolf, the shepherd, the lambs or the young sheep, and mother sheep and his mother, or you. And the next questions: does this story have a happy ending or sad ending? After we read the story, we know that the shepherd was killed the a big wolf because he thought that a big wolf is because he thought that uh, the big wolf is a real sheep, like we can discover it by the last sentences. So very easily the shepherd slaughtered him, chopped him, and then cooked him for the big party. So it is a sad ending or happy ending, do you think? I think for the because the wolf is very because the wolf is do a crime, and because he was alive. I think this is sad ending. So and the last questions is, what is the moral value of this fable? So I will tell you the moral value of this fable. So the moral value is, seek to do harm and harm will come to you. We can discover it directly in this title, A Wolf in Sheep Clothing. It's mean that he or the wolf tried to imitated imitated a sheep, and at first he successed, but after that he got cooked by the shepherd. It means that karma does exist, and what goes around comes around. So uh, something that we have to remember is, do not commit a crime, and we also have to be careful with the people around us. We have to be careful with the people around us, especially strangers, because we don't know. Maybe in front of us he or she act like friendly and kind, but we don't know if how truly they think about us. So that is our reading activities. Next, I want you uh, work. I want you explain. I want to explain about the structures of this fable. So as you guys know, fable is the one example of the narrative text. So narrative text is imaginary story or text to entertain people. And other than fable, we can find mystery or folk tales or legend or horror, comedy, romance, and personal experience as the examples of narrative text. But here in general, I want explain about the structure of narrative text, especially in this fable. So we have the first structures. We have orientation. So orientation is about the opening paragraph, where the characters of the story are introduced, such as introduction of the characters, the place, the time. So in here we have the paragraph 1 and the first sentences as our orientation. There was a big wolf. Yeah, it means like the authors introduce us about the characters, and then so the first one is orientation, and then next is complication. Complication is where the problems in the story developed. So in this text we find the problems of the story is in also in the paragraph 1, which is in this text until the second paragraph. So he was waiting for a chance to steal a ship until the last paragraph. The last sentences of the second paragraph is a complication. And then the third one is resolution. Resolution is where the problems in the story where the problem so the third one is resolution. Resolution is where the problems in the story is solved. So here we have the third paragraph as the resolution of this text, and we can discover the ending, which is happy or bad ending, by the resolution. The fourth structure is coda or reorientation. It's about lesson from the story or the conclusion of the story. And then the fifth one is evaluation. Evaluation is main assessment or evaluation of the course of a story or conflict. So explain you guys the characteristics of the narrative text. So usually they use past tense, and then for example past tense like this. Test is past tense, and then began, found, showed, could, and others. And usually use adverb of time. Adverb of time is like once upon a time, one day, and then usually use time conjunction like when, then, suddenly, and specifically characters. So these characters are specific, like this. The characters is a wolf, and then the action verbs, and use action verbs like in here action verbs are chest, and then hungry, found, pulled, and so on. And usually use direct speech, but yeah, direct speech is like this: I must find a way to get close to the ship. But the direct speech usually use present tense. So that is our lesson today. After you understand about narrative text, I want you guys work in pairs and try to write the narrative text. You can ask me if you don't get it, don't have any idea. I will try to help you. And I want you to write only the first paragraph. So I want you try to write the orientation until the complication, but in general way, no, but in a simple way. So the things that you have to remember to write the narrative text is use simple past tense, is use past tense, and And after you write the first paragraph, I want you to read aloud, so the others can listen to your story. Okay. So guys, that is my wheels activities in my crew teaching subject. I'm really sorry and apologize if there are any mistakes, like wrong pronunciation or grammatical error, because um, I still learn how to teach with a smooth way. So I want to answer the few questions. We have 5 questions by our lecturer. So the first question: What are their difficulties to hold the wheels activities concerning in their classes? In my opinion, it's very difficult to make the smooth sequence. For example, like between the subtopics or between question 1 to the question 2, because I want to make it as natural as possible and be creative, have more engagement to the students. But yeah, it's so difficult to me to do that, to make a smooth sequence. And then the second questions: what are their solutions to overcome the problems? What are their reasons? Like I said before, I think I have to build my engagement or my chemistry to the students to make my teaching activities become more fun and natural and go smoothly. And then the third question: what are the lessons learned teaching the classes? Why? In my opinion, become a teacher is not easy at all. Like, you have to prepare everything, start from the document, like syllabus, lesson plan, teaching material, and then how teachers need to design their classroom activities. We have to become a very creative teacher, and how we need to gain their motivation and interest points. Like they have, of course, each students have their interest, and uh, it's probably become a new problem, when a real problem, when you face the real situation in the school. And we also have to deal about exercises and the assessments. So those all, the teachers should done it alone, and we should become professional. Like, if someday your mood is not stable, or your mood is not really good, you have to remember there are children who will feel the negative aura if you don't become a professional teacher. So if your mood is not good enough, and on that day, you should remember that you are a teacher. And then the fourth questions: what are the recommendations to other candidates of English teachers? So my recommendations to other candidates of English teachers: I hope you guys have a nice preparation. To teach your students. Later, maybe like something that I can suggest to you is use a suitable techniques, the suitable teaching techniques for your class, because each class has different engagement and different understanding and different chemistry, and so on. So you have to make sure that So you have to make sure and choose the suitable teaching techniques for your class. And then the 5 questions. What are their plus points to be qualified English teachers? Why do they believe so? I think the qualified English teachers have to be professional, to be creative, be responsible, and be on time. Because if you are a professional, then you become responsible to your work, and the work become fun because you don't feel it as your pressure to teach your students. So those are my answers regarding the 5 questions that Ma'am Lily asked us to answer. So thank you for watching. I still learn how to become a good teacher, but I'm really sorry if there are mistakes, and thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.